and welcome to the Community Enrichment Fitness Network's Focus on Fitness, where making healthy choices creates healthy lifestyles. I'm Reverend Jesse Brown, your host, and on behalf of Sherry Hill and the whole CEFN family, welcome to our show. I am very fortunate, we are very fortunate today to have with us Dr. Brett Cardonick, and he is a chiropractor up in Mount Airy. I believe the practice is called Cardonick Chiropractic, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you.
I know that a lot of people may have some questions about chiropractic and what it means, and why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Sure. Chiropractic, it's the natural treatment of health problems using skilled spinal manipulation or the chiropractic adjustment. Chiropractic is a non-invasive, conservative care for health problems that's non-pharmaceutical, no drugs, no surgery. And care really focuses on correcting the cause of someone's problems and not just addressing the symptoms. Doctors of chiropractic are specifically trained to locate and correct subluxations, which are spinal...
Whoa, what was that word?
Subluxations.
I don't know what that is.
They are spinal misalignments
Okay.
that affect how the body works, and by removing those and correcting them, it allows the body to heal itself.
Oh, excellent.
A long explanation, but that's what we do.
Well, it's not so long if you don't know what it really is. And I want to kind of probe this a little bit more. I know that a lot of people, when they think about chiropractic work, they think about, manipulations of the muscles and bones. But it actually does more than that. Am I right? I mean, it helps people in health-wise, and feeling better, and those kinds of things. How does that fit into all of this?
Absolutely. The chiropractic adjustment removes the interference from your brain talking to your body.
There we go. Okay.
So your brain being at the top, and then your nervous system coming down through the bottom. And by allowing those nerves to do what they're supposed to do, well, then that's how the body heals itself.
Okay. Now, what are some of the misconceptions? Because I remember when we used to talk about chiropractic work, and it was not considered medicine almost.
Right.
By some people.
Right. Well, it's not medicine. What it is the care for the body to allow it to do what it's supposed to do. So it's really just, opening up the pathways so that the body can do what it was designed to do without interference.
Now, is this what we call homeopathic healing or homeopathic?
Holistic, I think, is the better word, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I am pleased that you're here because, on Focus on Fitness, we try to give people tips on how to be healthy and what they need to do to take care of themselves. And I know that you may have some of those tips about some of those things, particularly as it relates to age and, well, I know it from playing sports, let me tell you that.
Right.
Because that's where when I played basketball and football, sometimes I'd sprain my ankle or I'd hurt it in some other way and I couldn't quite figure out why it was swelling up, and, we'd bring somebody in to do that. So how does age and all those things fit into that, and activities?
Right. Well, as far as activity goes, I'll address that first. Everything we do impacts upon our body. How we sit, how we stand, how we talk on the telephone, putting the phone between your ear and your shoulder. All of those things become habits, and if you do them incorrectly for a long enough period of time, they're going to affect how your body works. So the key is to see someone as soon as possible in their lives before there's a problem. The youngest patient I've seen in my office, other than family members, was 7 days old, and the oldest was 94. So chiropractic affects the entire gamut of life from beginning all the way to the end.
Well, I know that not having the right shoes, or sometimes people wearing high heels, gets those folks into your office.
Absolutely. High heels is one of my pet peeves with patients. I address it a lot, so much so that women sometimes will change shoes in the parking lot before they come in. Wearing high heels pushes the pelvis forward, which affects the entire back. Wearing the same shoes for years and years and years and not getting new ones also builds into problems. So we talk about the feet, all the way up to what you're doing with your head.
Yes, but you know that high heels are a fashion symbol, and this is important to them.
Well, they do say beauty does hurt.
Yeah, and it does for some folks. But let's even go to school kids. Today they don't have lockers to put their bags in, and they're carrying them either on their backs or rolling them down. And I mean, hefty books.
They're hefty books and bags, and that's my next patient base. because carrying those backpacks is putting an extra 25 to 50 pounds of weight on their back, and so that they don't tip over, they push their heads forward all the way to keep the balance. Well, then you add the head position with texting and the telephones, it's problems waiting to happen. What some schools are doing is they're giving second sets of books that they can leave them at home, or eventually I see everything going electronic and they won't have them at all, which would really be great.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I mean, I already know a couple of schools that charter schools in particular that are already using the iPad.
Right.
And all of the books, you know, the textbooks are electronic, so you don't have to do anything but carry your iPad around everywhere.
Sure.
I wish I had that when I was in college. Man, they make us buy these, you know, $150 books that we're only going to use for one class.
Exactly.
In this process. That would have been nice in those days. But I also know that one of the things you do is, well, I want to say it this way, crack people's backs. I don't know quite what that means.
Right. Well, that's one of another pet peeves with the high heels. I wouldn't go to someone who was going to crack my back. We use the term adjustment, the chiropractic adjustment. There are hands-on techniques that sometimes make a popping sound. There are non-force techniques that don't. The important thing is to use a technique that will enable the person's body to get the adjustment and not have the person lying on the table being so tensed up and concerned about it. It doesn't hurt. And you know, you're always using the least amount of force necessary to get the adjustment done.
Right, okay. Well, that leads me to posture and walking or sitting or whatever we happen to be doing, because that is all posture, but usually we start with the posture not being quite right. You know, some people slump their shoulders and other people, you know, carry tension in their backs. How do you guys handle those kinds of things? Well,
the posture that someone comes into me with is what they've been doing for their entire lives. So it's a process. And when we get to the exercise portion of today's segment, we're going to talk about posture, but it's about mainly keeping their head up and their shoulders down. The more you can work on that, and I tell patients to look at their posture in a mirror, in a picture, in a window, anything they can see themselves, and to reset. They were born straight. They've learned how to be crooked. Now they need to learn how to be straight again.
Well, let me, that's interesting the way you said that. We were born straight.
Right.
But we tend to act a certain way or do a certain thing, and that creates an imbalance in our system.
Right.
Or an imbalance in our spinal system. Now, most of us carry that most of our lives. I mean, you know, a forensic person can look at our feet and tell us, you know, which foot we favor.
Yes.
Or what side of the skeleton got more wear and tear than the other side of the skeleton, which in life, you know, creates pain or headaches or any number of things. What other things, symptoms or signs that people's posture is bad that we could identify?
Headaches is always the big one, and I laugh when I do my history and I ask a patient, well, how often do you get headaches? Well, the normal amount. There is no normal amount of headaches. Right. You know, one headache is more than you're supposed to have.
Okay.
So, you know, any symptom of where things feel off. If you notice that something's not right, well, then you should check on it. When your car warning light comes on, you don't just cover it up with a piece of tape so you don't think about it anymore. You have to investigate it and see what's going on.
Okay. Well, I want to let you know that Dr. Cardonick will be back with us in both the exercise segment, and you can find out more about him at cefn.org. All right, I think I'm ready for you now.
I certainly hope so.
Now, this is our exercise segment. Normally our traditional exercise is line dancing, but today you're going to show us some other things.
Right.
And how to keep healthy. So what am I supposed to do now?
Okay. Well, what I'm going to talk about are things that you can do right now.
Okay.
So people don't realize that how they sit, stand, walk, how they drive their car, those are really exercises because they're all repetitive. And if you're not doing it correctly at the end of the day or the end of the week,
your back starts hurting like this.
It should not be like that. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to sit in the chair for me. And what I see on the street, we're going to talk about driving the car. So sit for me, how you drive the car, which is really fantastic here. You got your head is forward, you got a death grip on the steering wheel.
That's right.
You know, which is really bad. And then if you were to add to it what the kids are doing, where they're sitting in the back seat driving in the front.
Yeah, my daughter does that.
That's not what you want to do. You want to sit up.
Okay.
And you want to have your hands, when you were taking driver's ed, it was 2 and 10.
2 and 10, yeah.
Okay? But when you're at 2 and 10, it puts a lot of pressure and strain up in here. So I would prefer you be at 3 and 6.
Okay.
Now, I do have some patients who have problems with their neck and their upper back. So we go from 3 and 6, we go to 4, 5, and whatever's on the other side.
Right.
All right, so to try to take that stress off of that.
I kind of drive like this now.
Okay.
More than I do up here.
Right.
Now, if it looks like I'm in bad traffic, then I go up here, and
Right.
you're.
And when you do that, all the forces from your hands, which we talked about, the death grip, travels all the way up the arms to the neck, and eventually it's going to make things real tight up in here. And what's going to happen is, as you're driving, your head is going to start to creep up so that you're looking down your nose.
Right.
Okay, which is real bad for the neck and the upper back, and that contributes to why eye strain and also headaches.
Okay.
All right, so you really want to make sure that your head is up over your shoulders and your arms and shoulders are relaxed. Okay, now when you're at your desk, it's the same thing. You want to have your head up, so if you're working on a laptop and it's too far away from you, or even a desktop, that head is going to come forward.
Well, the thing I found with the desktop is that it's too high.
Exactly.
You're looking up like this a lot of times, and I have literally positioned off the desk my monitor so that I could look down just off the keyboard. I can just look up.
Which is great, but that's also usually the opposite. Most keyboard monitors are too low.
Okay.
So we get that little box stand that we put on the desk to put the monitor on top so that you're looking straight ahead at it.
Got it.
The other really bad thing that I find out about when I talk to people about their desk and their workstations are the monitor's over here, the keyboard's over here, and what they're typing's over here. Okay, so they're going all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And pretend you're on the phone.
That's right.
So you add that to it too. I'll be seeing you 3 times a week for a couple of years if you keep doing that. So it's about balance.
Yeah.
So you want to have a headset at your desk,
Okay.
or use the speakerphone, or don't do 2 things at once. You're on the phone, you're on the phone. You're on the computer, you're on the computer.
So what do I do now to kind of get that tension out?
Okay, it's the same thing. You bring those shoulders down
Got it.
and the arms are straight. But then there are some exercises that you want to do.
Okay.
One of the things you want to do is, if everything you're doing is combating, is working everything up and forward, you want to open it up. So you put your arms out straight, palms up like you have 2 glasses of water, and you do backwards arm circles. You can do 5 or 10 of those once an hour. Stretches the muscles in front and brings that head back up. That's a great exercise.
Okay.
If you start to feel that now your head's feeling kind of heavy and your arms are sore and your shoulders are tight, well, then you do the opposite. You bring your hands in front of you, you interlock your fingers, and as you breathe out, you gently push your hands away. That's a real great stretch to work out up in here. And you can have fun with this one too. You can lean one wrist a little bit, like you're driving, you do the other one, and that's going to stretch from the shoulders all the way across.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And these are things that you can do at your desk. It takes 30 seconds to do it, and it's going to make a big difference. Now, if you've been sitting for an hour or so, your low back's going to start to get tight. So you want to stretch that out. So if you slide out your body towards the edge of the chair a little bit, and you have the chiropractor's permission to slouch. A little bit more gently, but yes, you can slouch. When you get there, then I want you to push your belly forward and arch your back a bit, and go the other way, and then go back again. So what you're doing is you're moving your lumbar spine, that very bottom portion here, back and forth. Front to back, you add some breathing to it, and that's a real good exercise to get that lower back moving again, to try to fight all that time that you've been sitting and compressing and compressing. Okay? Now let's say at the end of the day you're also having some stuff going down your legs, whether it's sciatica or it's muscle pain. You want to stretch the muscles in the buttocks. So I would like you to cross your ankle over your knee. Okay? And then all you do from this position is you lean forward at the camera. And when you do that, you feel that pulling in the back of your thigh.
Yeah.
And you've got the camera there, so you want to keep your head up. Okay? And you maintain that position for 30 seconds. That's a great stretch to get into the lower back and the hips. Okay? And you always do both sides. So you would switch
Let's see if
with
I can
that.
do the left.
Let's see if you can do the left.
It ain't working.
Little less force, but everybody does have one leg that may be a bit tighter than
Right.
the other. So you just work on it. And you take your time with it. And what you'll find after a week or 2 of doing this, that it starts to balance
Easier,
out.
yeah.
Okay? So that's really the sitting stuff.
Okay.
So now stand up for me.
All right.
So when we stand and we talk about our posture, if I could get you to turn this way, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your ears are up over your shoulders. So you bring your head back and then you let the shoulders relax. And you want to bring your hands back a bit so that the hands are on the outsides of your pants. Just like that. All right? So when the head is up over the shoulders, there's less pressure and forces from gravity affecting the muscles in the upper back and also the lower back. Okay? So it's ears back, shoulders down. So what I recommend to my patients is that whenever you see your reflection in a mirror, a picture, a window as you're walking down the street, recheck your posture. The more often you do that, the less there should be to change, And that's going to get that habit back to where you're standing more correctly.
Yeah, and we tend to do this particularly when we're tired. We fall out of posture.
Exactly, because by the end of the day, you fall into your old patterns.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the standing thing. Now, if you're moving, so you can turn it back and face the front way. When we do our yard work and our activities, we tend to do things more one way than the other because we're stronger in that direction. Yeah. And that becomes an unbalanced activity. So you just keep going this way, you keep going this way, right. And that leads to problems. So I tell my patients to switch and spend some time going the opposite way.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
which is what I was going to say. It doesn't feel right, which means you have to slow down, and you can't move as much to one way as you do to the other. So that protects you a little bit from injury. Now, if you were having hip, knee, or foot problems, what I would tell you is to do a dance when you do it.
Okay.
You pivot one way, and then you dance, and you pivot the other way. You don't have to bounce, and I'm not going to, but you go back and forth to get things going. So that's raking, sweeping, vacuuming, shoveling snow, all of the things that we do all the time.
Right.
We don't think about being balanced because we just want to get finished.
And sometimes even carrying equipment too.
Exactly.
I actually do catch myself in doing that sometimes because I know the equipment sometimes is heavy, and if I do it with the same arm all the time.
Right. Which brings up one more thing, if I can go back to the car. You drive a 3-hour trip for your vacation, everything's in the car, you get there, you're tired, what do? You jump out of the car, you run in the trunk, and you grab everything. Your body's not ready for it yet.
Okay.
Leave it there. Go in, check into the hotel, meet whomever you're meeting. Once your body is kind of used to standing, then you go back and you get your things. When you're carrying things, 3 trips may be more annoying than 2, but there's a less chance of you hurting yourself when you're doing things in small increments. We have to think sometimes and slow down before we do things.
Okay, all right. Now, movement, arms, what was the other one you told me to try?
Balance.
Balance, keep your head up. And shoulders back.
And go into both sides. Use both sides of your body. That's why you have to.
All right. Now, if our audience does this, they're going to be less prone to pain and injury, correct?
I would say less prone to injury. The pain may still be there, but at least they'll be doing it a little bit better.
All right. Well, try some of these exercises on your own. I bet they'll make a difference in your life. We are here to impress you today, especially all you men out there. I have with me Chef Live Ive. I love that. Real name, Ivan Wallance. And he's been telling you real men cook.
That's right.
Now, what else have you been doing? I know you've been doing some stuff with the Father's Day programs and things like that.
Yes, but for the most part, I'm trained as a physicist formally. I've worked 15 years for the government.
Okay.
And as a health physicist, so when I was really dealing with radiation, I moved into this way of cooking, especially after a car accident, but also around toxic energy.
Now, when you say this way of cooking,
the art of non-cooking, meaning keeping things in its natural state of food.
You're using raw food, in essence.
Raw food, live food. So the only cook is the sun or the star that basically gave us this energy, and I keep things in its natural form. Because once you cook things over 115 to 120 degrees, you kill the enzymes out of the food.
Okay.
So this is a way of healing or not putting the stress on the body that burning up your digestive enzymes, well, your metabolic enzymes may be overworking when you basically have to cook food. So when you have enzyme-enriched food that matches with your digestive enzymes, it's like putting gasoline into your Mercedes-Benz that you drive.
All right. Well, see, you heard it from the physicist. The physicist, he's the one who knows about good cooking. So all right, what do you got for us today?
Today we're going to do a rendition of cucumber salad that I was really, my mother used to make when we used to eat steaks. Sometimes we would have a cucumber salad, which is really maybe a vinaigrette made with pepper, what have you. So I really took my mother Audrey's recipe and made it into Live Ive's recipe now.
All right.
So what I do with the cucumbers, we basically slice them. Sometimes I do de-seed them, but for the most part, and when you do de-seed it, I also get into kitchen cosmetics. The seeds and the insides of what we really have here can be used for not makeup like we were talking
Right,
about
but-
earlier,
but-
but really just to heal your skin. And you even see in the movies how
Oh yeah, where they do the
lady put
facials with
cucumbers
the
right.
cucumber. Yeah,
So
sure.
you can use the internal, nothing goes to waste. Compost goes back into the ground, really, if you want to keep the vegetables back into the soil, whatever you don't really use.
Right.
But then when you make other dishes, you basically can make gazpachos. I have some folks that may not want any type of soy products in their food, but we use Bragg's and some
Well,
other.
soy has a lot of salt in it, in particular, and artificial things, does it not?
Yes, with the genetic modifications of things that we're dealing with now.
Right.
Soy, is questionable, but you still can find some organic grown things. But certain people may request, don't use any soy products. So with the cucumbers, tomatoes, I'll make a gazpacho, season that up,
Okay.
and then I can reintroduce that as how people would use Bragg's to make a gravy, or
Right.
if you're going to do a kale salad, there's ways that you spice that up.
Okay.
So here we're basically we have the cucumbers cut.
All right.
I'm going to use dill as the natural herb. I want everything kind of cut into pieces.
Excellent. And let me remind folks that we washed our hands
Yes,
before we
we
came
have.
out here on the set.
And professionally, I do have gloves, really.
You
So
got
since we're
gloves,
on,
see? Yeah.
Yes, we should
You go right ahead.
do our thing the way.
I always
state
like to remind
requires.
people that it's
Yes.
important that we do things like wash our hands and preparing food.
That's right. For the herbs, we're going to cut the scallions that go with this.
Okay.
I want to do that on an angle. And sometimes I use red onions, so we kind of change up. And I'm one that teaches never be a slave to the recipe. You use
Right.
what you have, and you improvise. And also for color purposes, things may even change. A lot of times when I'm shopping and I may get seaweed, hajiki, or certain
Right.
things, I like to put some of the sea vegetables in there, trace minerals in the salad. So people who have seen me catered have seen the seaweed in the cucumber salad.
Okay.
For the most part, like I said, we make a vinaigrette. I'm going to use a high-end little bit of this sesame oil.
Oh, sesame oil? Okay.
Sesame always had power. Remember the cartoons, Open Sesame?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of trace. Well, that whole thing really is even relating to the power in that, mythology. But there's reason that the sesame is looked at in a way where it opens up a lot of things. So
Okay. And those are?
these are dates.
Okay, dates.
Soaking in the calabash. So this really soaking basically helps dehydrate
Right,
things. Most people are walking around dehydrated, but also it creates a simple syrup. Even the water is sweet.
Okay.
But the old recipe required sugar dissolved in vinegar, then put the pepper, and then put the oil. So now we're keeping everything live. So we're going to do
All right.
the dates to make it sweet. The oil basically is the oil. Little salt. We're going to just do maybe about 2 tablespoons of salt.
Okay.
I like things a little spicy, but the
That's all right.
cayenne gets your blood circulating, so the heat
Do what
is
you
basically,
want there. We'll try it out. Now, we've got
And-
about 3 minutes, so we want to
Okay.
make sure you finish it.
Okay, we're going to put a little bit of cumin in there,
Okay.
and that's always a nice spice. And also to substitute for the vinegar,
Right.
you basically can always use the citrus acids to really bring that. You can get some Bragg's raw vinegar and other raw apple cider vinegars that have
Do the
health.
same thing, yeah.
Yes, but when you really have, I'm gonna do a lemon and a lime. When you really have the opportunity to
Okay.
go back to that natural taste, it's best to keep things
All right.
live. So this will be the marinade, and also,
Gotcha. And make sure this gets out of your way.
yes, all the herbs are healing. So people are used to pickling, so just the whole thing with the cucumbers and the dill
right.
kind of goes to your.
Now tell us
natural
how this is going to end.
this is really going to end in a nice little marinade. I always serve things on a bed of lettuce.
All right.
And if we just do a little buzz here,
Right.
the same marinade that's right there is here.
And we're done. Ah!
Voila.
And then you pour that over.
Pour that over.
Oh, I'm going to get a taste tester to come and help us here. Want to try some of this? Come on over here, Chin. Slip behind me. We're going to try this out. Wait.
Well, really?
I was going to. Can I pick out?
Yeah, you can pick out of
Here
there.
you go. Try that. Oh, man.
So just natural. Everything is really
I'm all right with this.
in its natural state.
It's really good.
Oh,
You like it?
glad you enjoyed.
Guess
And
what?
You can take it on.
Bon
and-
appetit.
Bon appetit.
Oh, this is fantastic.
And
Let me
This
clear
is
my
my
mouth here.
presentation.
Hey
Go
guys,
ahead.
you must try this. You go to CEFN, you'll find out more about our chef. And you can get his recipe online too. It's magnificent. Thank you.
thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for
All right, all
letting me
right.
share.